Hello and welcome to this week's podcast episode on What Topic Podcast. I'm your host Owen Burkett, and here I'm joined by my siblings, with Patrick and Francis. So this is a triplet special episode. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Okay, so the reason we're doing this is because pre-pandemic, we used to have like monthly similar cinema trips to go see a film of our choice, but obviously because we can't do that for obvious reasons, I started this podcast just recently. My sister did suggest that we should do something together, and I thought, okay, that'd be cool. But then I remembered Zack Snyder's Justice League was coming out soon, and I thought, okay, that could be something that we could do something together. And obviously, you, Francis, haven't seen Batman v Superman, which, okay, I'm going to be, backpedaling a little bit, but there's a funny story to that. When Suicide Squad came out, my sister did ask my brother, saying, it said, do I need to watch any of the previous movies or anything like that? And he went, no, you'll be all right. And she watches it, and then obviously the spoiler alert was basically Superman is dead at that point, and she turns to my brother and goes, Superman's dead? And then my brother was like, oh yeah. So
Superman is dead.
It's just like, yeah. But although I'm quite surprised actually that, if you went to the cinema or anything during that point, like they do spoil it right out, like saying Superman's dead at this point. So I'm surprised you haven't known about this before then.
Yep. Well, I tried my hardest to avoid it because I kept meaning to watch it. And then it came out of the cinema, and I just thought, oh, well, I'll keep waiting for a bit until it all dies down, all the hype dies down, because I've missed my opportunity to watch it in a cinematic experience. And then I thought this, was the perfect opportunity to go watch it. So we watched it last week.
So we're going to do a bit, and also we're going to do a bit of quick dive to leading up to the said film that we're going to be talking about. So obviously it all started with in 2013 with Man of Steel, and I do like it. Like, people think I don't like it, and that's not true at all. It's just I do have certain bits and pieces, like a few issues with it, and but yeah, I mean, I think you two probably like it more than I did, didn't you?
Are we talking about Man of Steel here?
Yeah, we're talking about Man of Steel. Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I think the constant things that we can agree on is that the logic behind Zod's plan to make Earth into Krypton doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
No, because he plans to lose his powers if he turns it to Krypton, and you're like, well, you may as well just keep your powers and rule over Earth.
Yeah, but no, this is the way, and it's like, okay, all right. And I love how it's like they said that this was going to be the start of the DC extended universe. By the way, if you hear a cat meowing in the background, that's our three-legged ginger cat. So just a FYI. But yeah, they were like saying that this was going to be the start of a cinematic universe, which I was never led to believe that this was going to be a start of something big. But then they made that official with a year later. Well, it was actually within the same year that they announced that they're going to bring Batman into the equation. And it just seemed like more and more they're going to bring, like, Wonder Woman and Aquaman and all these superheroes, and obviously the subtitle for the next film was going to be obvious.
Well, I really enjoyed Man of Steel, except the fight scenes are so long, and it's not like, I don't think that they particularly add to the plot. It's more like the plot was a plot device for the fights, as opposed to the fights being a plot device to actually bring them forward along. And the reason why I didn't say it initially is because the cat came in and just meowed at me, so I do apologise for that.
No.
Otherwise, I did enjoy it. Just on second watch, the fight scenes just got longer. I don't know how they did it, but they got so long. But I did overall enjoy the experience. Otherwise, I wouldn't have probably wanted to necessarily watch Batman v Superman when it came out in the cinema.
Yeah.
Me,
No, go ahead.
yeah, for me, the fight scenes were the film. They were like the best bits. I mean, you had Batman v Superman, awesome fight, and then Batman beat the crap out of criminals, and that was like the most Batman thing I've ever seen in ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's the frustrating thing about Batman v Superman. There are aspects I do like, but unfortunately, the things I didn't like trump over the positives, such as Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. Like, and I
Was
just
the worst thing ever.
and the fact that he's the main antagonist just brings the film down so much. What I remember saying to Patrick that it would have been so much interesting if, say, he did what he did in the film out in the public, and then when people think that when he's being accused, then people be like, "What, him? Nah, no, that's not true." And then obviously behind closed doors, he's a more like sort of calm and calculating and sort of serious sort of character. But no, apparently he has to be like sort of unhinged, as it were.
Well, he's in the comics, he's a scientist and a businessman, and you can't be zany, all the time. It looked like they were trying to do a Joker for Superman, and it doesn't work because that's
no, yeah, and I never liked Doomsday. I remember reading the Death of Superman comic, and I was just so bored. It is the most overrated comic ever. So the fact that they made reference to that along with the Dark Knight Returns, I think is he outside your door?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's better to let him come in and out of my room, then otherwise there'll be just like muffled mules with his nose to my door.
Right, fair enough. But the yeah, it was just like and then it was just, I don't know, it just felt a bit too dark, and sometimes it just wasn't fun to watch. I mean, that was just my preference, but I do agree that Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman was cool. I mean, Ben Affleck as Batman was cool. The warehouse fight scene was cool. So walking into Justice League was a little bit of a bit of a cautious approach for me. But then obviously we didn't get the film that Zack Snyder wanted to make initially, and we got what's now called Joss Whedon's Justice League, which was a Frankenstein mess. Like, it was so bothersome that you can really tell like the stuff that was reshot, and then the stuff that they also incorporated from the initial shoot.
Well, the film didn't know what mood it wanted to be in.
Well, I mean, so the bit of history there. So obviously, Zack Snyder shot Justice League, and then Warner Brothers saw what happened, what the reaction was from Batman v Superman, and basically looked at what Zack Snyder shot and went, "You can't do that. You need to make it more lighthearted, and you need to make it up to 2 hours with the movie." And Zack Snyder was basically saying, "No, I can't do that." And apparently, and it's only just been recently reported that they wanted to find a way to fire him, but obviously with the tragic news of his daughter Autumn committed suicide, then he left, and then brought in Joss Whedon, and they just kind of went, "Hey, you're the guy who did the Avengers movies, like, you come and do the same thing with Justice League." And it's just, it doesn't work at all.
Well, I assume this is post Guardians of the Galaxy, isn't it?
So this came out, so Guardians of the Galaxy came out in 2014.
Yeah, so that made, because they were sort of semi-serious, light-hearted but not funny. So when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, they sort of realized these comic book films can be actually funny, but the DC movies had its own, it was going in its own direction, which was, virtually Batman, just dark and gloomy, which, I mean, to some aspect of Superman, that doesn't work. But I mean, I enjoyed it. But I think the popular aspect of Guardians was the comedy. So of course they were like, we need that in our films, which doesn't work when you've got Batman in your film.
Yeah, not at all. And I mean, the bit that just really bothered me is like you had the bit with Superman fighting, the other Justice League people, and there's the bit where Batman, like Superman grabs it, he just drops him, and then he flies away with Lois Lane, and then he goes, stuff is definitely bleeding, and I'm like, fuck's sake, like really. So. Yeah, I mean, the film. I remember even when Steppenwolf was saying something on the lines like, "I am the destroyer of worlds. How dare you defy me?" I think you, Patrick, you even heard me say it at the cinema. I just went, "Oh, shut the fuck up!" Like,
he was the worst.
And even funny enough, Kieran Hines got annoyed with the theatrical cut because he said like that's not the Steppenwolf that he signed up to play. Oh, Francis, if you got headphones.
Oh, did you look at him? He looked.
Sorry, if you got headphones, it will probably be better. Just so because I'm hearing myself through your thing. Sorry. Yeah. So obviously, because of that, fans of the of Zack Snyder. Well, we even mentioned this, Patrick. So we mentioned about this that it was like when Batman v Superman came out, people were like basically saying, "Fuck Zack Snyder, we don't want him here. Like, get someone else to do it." And then, but then when Justice League came out, it just sort of automatically made people go like, "Oh, we want Zack Snyder back," and it just like, what, like, what do you want? Like,
well, people weren't happy with Man of Steel because I mean there were aspects of that film where that was even dark for Superman. I mean, Christ,
oh god, yeah, like
Robin Hood #2 father went up and said, maybe you should have let those kids drown. I was like, oh
shit, yeah.
Oh goddamn, that's what? Okay, came out, and that's when people were like, well, we don't want them in our Justice League film, and there was petitions and things, sign-ups of trying to kick him off. So people didn't want this film.
No, not at all.
When it was first coming out.
And then the Joss Whedon cut came out, and then suddenly people want hashtag release the Snyder cut, and that kept going for 4 years now, and and then on May last year when they were doing a viewing of Man of Steel, and then they had the surprise appearance of Henry Cavill, he then announced that Zack Snyder's Justice League was going to come out on HBO Max, which was not surprising at all. Like, I even remember saying that, I bet you, like, when HBO Max comes out, they're going to, use Zack Snyder's Justice League to get people to subscribe to it. And sure enough, it did get people, like, subscriptions to HBO Max went up like a lot when, like, compared to when it initially launched. So yeah, and the funny thing is, Frances has not seen Joss Whedon's Justice League, so she just went into this one as like the first time. Like, we kind of both said to her, forget about the previous film. Like, now this is like the canon version as far as like everyone else is concerned. Even the people, even the cast members of Justice League and other filmmakers in the DCEU count as this one as the definitive version.
Well, this it wasn't as much of forget the previous version as like I didn't even know the previous version, and it wasn't until afterwards where I saw some clips of the previous one that I thought, well, this is naff.
Yeah.
And I can see why people were so disappointed in it, and
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved this film. It was so much fun, even though 4 hours, was quite long to say the least. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so I mean, if we're gonna go to our thoughts now, yeah, to be honest, I'm actually genuinely surprised about this one because, like I said, I was not a fan of Batman v Superman. I did like Man of Steel, so I was sort of like 50-50 on this one. I'm like, oh, am I gonna like this or am I gonna, because the last thing that I want the fans to be is to be really pissed off that this turns out to be worse or at least just as bad as the last one. So. Yeah, I mean, to say the least, I mean, I mean, the reviews from critics is still like every other Zack Snyder film. It's pretty split, yeah, as always. So, but it seems a lot more, it is a bit more positive than the last version. Yeah, to be honest, like, because even despite the 4 hour time length, that I actually did enjoy it as well. Yeah, I just thought like, there was definitely a vision behind it. There was, there was a definitely sense of there was a definitely stakes involved, and it's just like there was characterization that really got fucked over from the last version, like particularly Cyborg, and Zack Snyder was right. Cyborg was the heart of the film, and yeah, and it was just done a lot, and it was just done a lot better, this time round. And then the characterization of Steppenwolf was done a lot better. Like, basically, the two versions were just night and day. So,
just the look alone is far superior. I mean, I forgot what he looked like originally, but when we saw honest trailers, oh my god, it's like a deer in a turtleneck. That's all it looks like.
Well, somebody said it like this. Like it seemed like like somebody at Comic-Con just made a paper mache sort of version, and it just looks dog shit. Like the CGI, like, although to be fair, some of the CGI in this one, some shots didn't really kind of pan out well. That you can there was one particular bit where I'll get that to in the spoiler section. But yeah, no, it was just like, there's certain bits that were changed from the last version, like the Wonder Woman intro where she saves the kids at the museum. I think that's the museum.
Yeah, I think it was a museum. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's like it was essentially still the same version, but it's still a little bit longer. The only difference is that she does that whole cross her arms thing with the shockwave thing, but in the previous version, it just fades to white and then goes to the bit where Bruce Wayne travels to Iceland to get Aquaman. But this one, you like see what happens into this. And I'm like, oh shit. So, but yeah, the thing is like, and also the thing I realized is this, this version is still like, even though it's still dark at places, there's still a bit of there's a lot more hope in this than Batman v Superman. Batman v Superman, from my opinion, just felt like it sucks to be a superhero, or people are so downtrodden and morbid.
Well,
whereas this version, it's like, yeah, there is like a lot of stakes involved, and people are dying left, right, and center. But the characters are keeping their chin up and their shoulders, high, or whatever, however you say it. But yeah, like even like the Wonder Woman just trying to calm down a child, and she said, and then when the girl says like, "Can I be like you someday?" and she goes, "You can be anything you want," and I was like, oh my god, like there's something. Yeah, so that's something I appreciated.
Well, you go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, it's just when Batman v Superman, yeah, it was dark, but for me, it's you introduce Batman, it's going to go a bit gothy. No pun intended. They're doing an older Bruce. He's had a Robin die on him, and he's what 20 years into his career. He's going to see some shit. So, yeah, it's going to be a bit, doom and gloom. And Batman v Superman, the whole aspect of that film was their response to what people didn't like about Man of Steel was, you know, the 9/11 aspect of the death and destruction of the fighting metropolis.
God, yeah,
So
to announce like it's uninhabited.
yeah,
it's like
you had all that, but yeah, of course it's going to be dark because the whole entire film was basically Superman has to account for his actions, and yeah, people died, and it's going to be like, oh, what are you going to do about it? So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. I mean, I can see why people don't. So, but with Justice League, you've got a bit more characters. I mean, half the reason why it's a little bit more lighter is you've got the Flash, who's the comedy element / perv element.
We'll get to that bit later. I just think like that, you know, you definitely saw a vision behind it, and it kind of does suck that, you know, we're not going to see how this continues on afterwards. I mean, Zack Snyder says that he's not interested to make any sequels, but I think give push to shove, like if Warner Brothers come up to him and say, look, we fucked up, we realize there's a fan base for it, so, you know,
he doesn't even have to direct. He could just write and produce it. As long as he writes and produces it, I think I'd be fine with that. As long as they get a decent director.
Maybe. I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, he's busy. He was busy doing this film, and he was busy doing the upcoming Netflix film. Was it not Army of the Dead? Is it Army of the Dead? It's a zombie. It's another zombie film on Netflix that he's doing. So yeah, I mean, after that, God knows, like if he will come back if they give him the right, you know, what do you call it? Like, if they give him his, you know, like give him carte blanche, as it were. Like if they just, you know, we'll give you this whole play set to play with. Yeah. I mean, if you want a non-spoiler, like, which is quite difficult because obviously, you know, there's a lot of material that we could talk about that wasn't in the previous version. But yeah, if you want a review, a short end review of this, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. It's probably my favorite of the Zack Snyder DC movies. So yeah. I mean, that's my review. So, how would you give it?
Well, I think Patrick should go because I have a completely different take on it. So I have no idea about the previous one, really.
Right. Okay. Yeah. If we're comparing it to the previous one, I would agree. Probably 9 out of 10. I mean, basing on that, yeah, 8 or 9. I would probably put it more to a 7 or 8, just because of there's other aspects that.
We'll get to that in a bit. So,
but yeah, generally either a 7 to a 9.
Yeah. Okay.
I would give it an 8. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I would give it more, but it was quite long. It was worth it, but it was a long film, and I think, I don't know. It's just like you said, it was hopeful, and you know me, I don't like
doom and gloom,
you know, sad film or anything like that. And it was, but it wasn't too sweet. It had quite a good element of dark versus light, or you know, good versus evil. I think would be more accurate description of it. And I just thought it was fun. There was, you know, quite a good comedic element, you know, that helped lighten the mood of some scenes. Just really, yeah, 8 out of 10.
Okay. So we're going to go to the spoilers. So if you have not seen it and you want to see it, then I would probably advise not to listen to the rest of it until you've seen it. So already when you watch the film, the opening of the film is completely different. Like you see
CGI Tash.
No, not at all. And then so it starts out with Superman getting killed by Doomsday, and then it makes it out that, you know, his death cry was the reason why the mother boxes activated, rather than the previous film they just activated for no reason at all, it seems. And
oh really?
Yeah, they just turn on.
They just turn on, yeah. And
that's probably going, just to warn you, that is probably going to be a reoccurring
like thing, like
phrase,
just going like, oh
is
really?
me saying, oh really? Yeah.
Yeah, so and the fight between Steppenwolf and the Amazons, it's essentially the same, but it's a little bit different. I mean, it's more violent. Let's just put it this. Oh,
Well,
by the way,
there's
yeah,
more horse violence. I mean, Christ, he used 2 horses to take out a couple of Amazons.
yeah,
Even I
like
went,
they shoot arrows on him, and his armor just like he just flexes, and he just breaks them off.
well, that's the thing. That's so we'll talk about Steppenwolf. His look is far superior, and it's. I mean, I remember when I first saw the picture, I thought, okay, that's a bit overkill. Obviously, he's the baddie.
I thought the same. Like I looked at it and it just went like it just seemed like they just dropped a bunch of switchblade. No, not switchblade, but whatever.
But if you watch when we watched the Ultimate Edition of Batman v Superman, and it had Steppenwolf in it because it was meant to be a tie-in, that was the look they went for.
Yeah,
so that was always meant to be the look.
Yeah. And then when we watched the Joss Whedon's Justice League and saw that design, I was like, oh, that doesn't even look like the same Steppenwolf we saw.
Well, he is such a disappointment. He has got generic lines. There is no character development. He looks stupid. And
I mean, granted,
a superhero film's villain makes the film, and if he's not good, the film is rubbish.
No, but you know, but then granted, like the comic version of Steppenwolf is just a human-looking being with a goatee, and then he has a helmet, and so I guess that's what Joss Whedon was trying to do. Like he was trying to do like a comic book accurate Steppenwolf.
Well, yeah, but he does that with. He did that with Captain America, and I hate that costume in Avengers. Absolutely loathe it. So that doesn't surprise me. That's Joss involved.
So yeah, I mean, like I said, I thought the same thing. I wasn't too sure about the design of Steppenwolf. I just looked at that and went, that's a bit much. But then you watch him in motion, and it's completely different. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll dig this.
Well, it's a living, breathing suit as well, isn't it?
It seems like it. Like he takes the helmet / armor off when he sees Darkseid later on. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, no, it does seem so. Yeah, I kind of dug it, and then the motivation behind Steppenwolf was another thing that they completely took away from this. Like he seemed like he fucked up previously for whatever reason, and he's trying to basically come back to Apocalypse to see for.
Well, it's not a fuck up. He betrayed him. He literally said he betrayed him. Yeah. So he's now trying to redeem himself by taking over all these planets. And he really does want to go back home and see Daddy, as it were.
Yeah, but yeah, like, and that was completely cut out. Like, it just seemed like he was the one who initiated this whole attack and decided to go after the mother boxes and so on and so forth. So it was
because that was the difference. There was no mention of Darkseid whatsoever.
Only once by word. Like he only mentioned it once, but that was it.
That was it. There was no presence of him. I mean, the biggest baddie of the whole entire universe, and he's mentioned once.
And then you never saw Darkseid. You never saw Desard. You never saw Granny Goodness.
Wait,
like
what?
Just nothing. Nothing like that at all. Like you never even saw Apocalypse.
No, it's literally one bad guy, and that's all you get.
Oh, that's a bit enough.
Yeah, and there's no character development for him whatsoever.
Yeah, and also like I said earlier, like Cyborg got completely screwed over.
Yeah, when you told me he wasn't like he had no backstory, I just went, wait, what was the film then? The whole a massive, important, integral part of the film was his not only just like his current actions, but his backstory, like the reasons behind it and why he struggled, why he was helping them. It just it confused me so much when you told me after the film had ended that he was just nothing.
Yeah, like that whole thing. And the funny thing is, like, again, spoiler alert, but his dad sacrifices himself, and in the theatrical cut he's still alive.
Seeing that, I don't remember at all.
And then in the end, at the very end, where they go back to see the human, like the Justice League doing their thing, when he's with his dad, he changes his little center to the sea.
Oh, you remember this film better than I do. I just don't remember it.
I have to be honestly, I have not seen it in such a long while. But I just somehow remember it. So yeah, I remember when I saw that C on his chest. I'm like, that's clearly a Joss Whedon thing. Like,
I think every bad decision of that film was Joss.
So yeah, and there was like this whole bit with, and then what was the other things they include? I mean, there was a whole thing where you saw like where Cyborg sees a flash of what could happen with Superman. You know, oh yeah, like this is where it gets started. Like he's cradling Lois Lane's like skeleton like corpse, and you're just like, Jesus Christ.
Wait, that wasn't in the original?
No, that was not in it at all. And the whole bit where Darkseid fights against the Amazons, the Green Lantern, the humans, the Atlanteans, that they were all fighting Steppenwolf instead.
Oh, that's an interesting.
So it's still initially the same, but obviously minus Green Lantern's hand getting chopped off and everything. So, yeah. I'm just trying to think what else is there. Like, the whole thing with the Flash. Oh God. Okay, we're gonna have to talk about this.
Oh, I love the Flash. He was awesome.
Although there's a bit where he sees Iris West in the car, and then he goes into Patrick's dropped out. He'll probably jump back in. So he comes at so he sees what's happening. Like the car hits the truck, and he goes into like everything goes to slow-mo, but so he's going really super fast, and he runs up to her, and oh my God. I think we all kind of made this whole what he does is he puts his fingers and like brushes her hair, and it like it's just like in the times that we're in the Me Too era and what has happened with women saying we need consent. Yeah,
I don't think it has anything to do with Me Too. It's just plain old creepy.
Well, no, I know it's got nothing to do with Me Too.
No, it's creepy, but I mean, they got rid of one scene where he fell on top of Wonder Woman and like was holding her breasts, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." So you know,
but and then when he brushes her hair right away from her face, and then there's a weird floating hot dog right by her face, and I thought that was just like
I know,
what?
So, I think our imaginations ran wild when we saw that. So
I don't think it was that what all three of us were thinking of it. I just thought it was.
It was just it was whatever Zack Snyder was like. I'm surprised that he got to do that, because I thought his wife Deborah Snyder, who's the producer, would have gone, Zack, maybe you shouldn't do this.
I was quite relieved he put the hot dog in his pocket, to be honest with you, because I don't know where else he was going to put it. But
oh my God. But I think the other thing that we kind of were a bit, I think we were pretty mixed about was the music choices.
It's when they had the songs, I thought they were poorly chosen for those scenes.
I mean, the song I liked was the Nick Cave song, or was it Distant Sky, when Lois...
Yeah, I heard you singing along to it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I didn't like any of them.
Yeah, but that was the problem. It was like, I liked the song, but it was just odd that it just felt like a mini music video to them.
I mean it's really common practice. So I can see what they were trying to do, but the problem was that they were given so much prominence when that person was in the scene. It wasn't subtle. It was like Wonder Woman music because Wonder Woman's here. It should have been. I don't know.
Oh no, but
quieter
it wasn't even...
and quieter and more subtle, so that you heard it and your mind would associate with it, and it just wouldn't break your visual experience of it. And that's what the problem was. It did break through.
Well, the problem is, Zack Snyder is really not really known for subtlety. Like if you watch 300, you'll know exactly what you're going to get yourself into.
But she has her own theme. I mean, so I don't know why they added that weird song to every.
Oh, it seemed like they seemed to like they just did one bit of the woman doing a choir bit, and they went right. We'll just keep using that rather than make a variation of it. And it just every time you heard it, you're like, oh Jesus Christ! Like, not have you got anything else? And oh god, the bit I think we kept laughing at was that guitar zero, like duh, 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 oh, like we were just like that, yeah. When they did it twice, there was a bit where they're walking up the steps just before they went to see Steppenwolf for the first time, and you guys laughed at that because we were just like. Just
it wasn't the music I was laughing at. It was the slow-mo.
Right, we've got to save the day. We'll walk up these stairs very slowly.
I know, and then you got these guitars and like, duh. I'm like, yeah, we're walking up some steps. This is badass.
I wasn't laughing at that point. I was just thinking, well, thank God we missed the part where they were walking up those stairs because that is just a boring part of
I mean, that's the thing. I was laughing at it because you got this, sort of quote unquote badass like guitar thing, and they're just walking up some steps, and it's just,
and they were all. Let's be honest, they were all waiting for Batman because the rest of them could have shot up there, and he's there going, "Shit, this suit is really." I know it's really like heavy.
The Flash could have just Cyborg and Wonder Woman could have just flown up, and then be like Batman, be like, "Wait, hey, no, guys, I'm catching up."
But he has a grappling gun. It's not like he could just. They could be dramatic about it, but it was just how casual they were walking up those stairs.
But it did feel like the previous version, like everyone else is like fighting against the paradigm is quite not effortlessly, but they're not they're not struggling. Every time it cuts back to Batman, he's just getting his ass handed. It's like
it's to emphasize that he's just a man.
I know, but that's the thing. Like it just kind of makes you go like, why do we need you? Like,
oh no, shut up! I love Batman because he's the cohesion between it all.
What do you mean? Why do we need him? He has the money.
No, we know why he was needed.
Oh yeah, that was
repeated throughout the entire film. You brought us together. I brought you guys together. That's why we're together because of me.
Yeah,
that's why he.
Well, I mean, this movie, Zack Snyder was trying to emulate a Seventh Samurai sort of thing. But yeah, so that was some of the musical score choices and actual songs were a little bit like some
that was
worked,
the weakest point for me.
Some works and didn't, like it was a bit too like bruh for your moment.
It was just it was the weakest part of the whole entire film for me.
And I'm not sure if it was just because, like, obviously in Batman v Superman, it had not just Junkie XL, but it also had Hans Zimmer onto it. So I think maybe that was the missing link that they could have had.
They didn't even use Wonder Woman's theme, and they used it once throughout the whole entire film.
They did. They only did that like that bit, like So, but yeah, I don't know. And have we forgot that this was actually violent? So I remember people were wondering because Mera has the power to control water, and I did think it was actually really cool. She finally, because we did think about at least I thought about it, like when in Aquaman, she's like, wait, why don't you just go up to somebody and it's like, oh, is that water in your body system? Let me just take that out.
Oh God.
I didn't think about it until she did it. I went, okay, that makes sense. And then you saw the blood coming. I went, oh, that's a bit. I mean, that makes really sense.
Oh God. Oh, yeah. For those, so obviously the previous version was like a 12 or PG-13. This one, like, earns its 15 certificate and R rating. Like, yeah, there was certain parts, parts we were all like, oh,
it
Jesus.
wasn't the violence. It wasn't the violence. It was the fuck, which was used twice or once by Batman, which really put me off. I was like, Batman.
Yeah, it was like, I'll fucking kill you. And I was like, all right, okay.
Okay, that's.
And then it was like, then it happened with Cyborg when he goes, the world, fuck the world. I was like, all right, okay.
No, that I liked. It made sense. He's an angry boy. But then it's because you had character development with him.
Yeah. And then,
I mean, you get to see his accident, for Christ's sake. I mean, you show why he's angry. Because I think you first see it, he's just like, oh, I'm a cyborg. I don't want to be a cyborg. And that was all you got from it. And then within seconds, he was like, oh, by the way, I'm a supercomputer and I can solve everything, and did. That's all you got from the original. And this one, you show why he's angry. His dad was never there for him. So when he had the accident, his mum dies, and his dad was still not there really. And then his dad only sort of fixed him, quote unquote, made him a computer. And he's just pissed because he's like, well, I look like a freak.
Yeah.
And it made sense why he didn't want to become, a Justice League member, because he was just angry. He never showed he was angry. He was just like, I'm a robot now. Bleh. And then turns out, I'm like, okay, that makes no sense.
Yeah, no, there was a lot from Cyborg's backstory that they just cut out. And I get it. Like, I can imagine, like the original director, like, stepped away, and then they hire you to come in and say, right, you need to make it more lighthearted, and it needs to be just under 2 hours. It can't be a minute more. You kind of go, right, well, I guess we could get rid of that, and we could get rid of this. And I was like,
but they got rid of, like, the main character. Well, to me, it seemed like he was the main character, and it was just bad because it was. I mean, I don't want to be that, but he was the token. He was the token guy.
He was the token,
and a really good one.
Black
And
character.
it's just, and they ruined it by just making him just a hardware piece.
Yeah,
he was just a computer.
Yeah, it was just a bit of. It was like an old iPod that it's just like, it's there. We'll use you when we need you, or something like that.
Yes. So you watch this, and it's. I actually gave a shit about Cyborg, because originally you didn't, because he was just like, okay, he's just, he's just in it, and that's about it.
Oh, the other thing that I just remembered, it's the other thing that it didn't really bother me, but it was obviously, like you said, it was clearly that they made it before they made this one particular movie. So when it went to Atlantis, there was a lot of design and character choices that obviously were changed in Aquaman. So Volko, played by Willem Dafoe, looks completely different than he does in the next film. And then Mera, played by Amber Heard,
she's English.
So yeah, she's English, and I was like, wait, does she have? Because I know she's American, so she obviously has her American accent in the Aquaman solo film. So when I heard her, like, she was speaking in this English accent, I was like, wait, what? And also her hair is not as vibrant red. It is red, but it's like a very light ginger red. Yeah. So yeah.
And what was your problem, Francis, with Aquaman?
Oh my God! Oh no!
Like, you kept going on about it.
There were a couple of things with Aquaman. Like, I loved the Aquaman film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Anyway, beyond that, this film, I was looking at it and I was like, you have the crappiest dialogue I've ever heard in a person. Like, you're just like you're just like stirring shit up. It's just really irritating. And there's no dimension to you. But the thing that Patrick is alluding to is the bit after he saved the fisherman or whatever it is he is, and he goes out onto oh my God, he's swigging away from his product placement whiskey, whatever it was. I didn't even really notice, because this what annoyed me. I love the ocean. The ocean should be saved. We should always look after the ocean. I'll just smash this bottle and put glass shards absolutely everywhere. And then
Got cut out a bit. Maybe it was too much of that rant.
And there's absolutely no reason. Okay, I know what the reason is. Can you hear me, Owen?
Yeah, yeah, you got cut out for a bit. It was kind of funny. Like, you were going up, and then you paused out. You were a bit. You kind of paused at a really funny moment, but yeah, no. So you
wait. Where was I? So
the last time
I've got to finish this point.
So the last time you said was the whiskey bottle breaking and
just like put like glass shards and litter everywhere in the ocean. That's my motto. And then he takes his top off and like for no reason. Like, okay, yeah, sex appeal, whatever. But I mean, yeah, but takes it off for no reason. Like he's like, yeah, this top is in my way. To what? It's soaking wet. You were wearing when you were saving the fisherman. You were wearing it the whole time, and you're just littering the ocean even more. Just really, really annoyed me because it just made no sense.
Well,
it made no sense.
But Francis,
the other part,
he's a moody bra man, like a bro Aquaman, Aqua bra. That's it. He's an Aqua bra. So, but.
Well, no, but it was also the big change between this and Aquaman was the eyes.
Oh yeah, the eyes. What?
You know what? Actually,
it was about 5 minutes of watching him and having to go, guys. Is it just me, or is his eyes like different from Aquaman? I'm so confused.
I actually forgot that they were virtually white until I watched this again. I went, oh yeah, that was the thing.
Do you know what? I actually did look at pictures of Aquaman, the solo film. He does have white irises, but they're a little bit subtle than they were in this film.
Oh,
so I mean, yeah, like you could argue that he does have it in the Aquaman film. But no, he does have them, but like I said, they're not as striking as they were in this film. So
anyway, that's what my thing about Aquaman was. I feel like I liked the film Aquaman. I think he had some like personality to this, and then in this film.
And the thing that shocked me was that the bit that got me was like, okay, so they're at the final battle, and then they're fighting, and this and that. There's certain scenes that that was included and excluded from the last version, and obviously Superman comes in, and that's a lot different because Steppenwolf's about to cut up like Cyborg, and then Superman just comes in, lands on his shoulder, and he goes, "You know what? I'm not impressed," and just blows it like on his axe to freeze it and destroys it. Whereas in the previous version, he just comes out from behind and goes, "Well, I believe in truth, but I also am a fan of justice." And I'm like, and I'm like,
it was easy, but like everything he said after that was just comedy. Cheesiness.
Like, yeah, like there was a bit where he was flying down, like after he saved like a bunch of people in this building. But anyways, he goes like, "Is this guy still bothering you?" And it's just like, oh, for fuck's sake! Like
when they defeat Steppenwolf, him and I forgot who else, they were on the floor and they just start doing that whole laughing bit because it's all over thing, and you're like, what is it? It's really bad.
Oh no, there's a bit where they separate the mother boxes and they separate it, and there's a shockwave and whatever. And then what was it? They said before as they were doing it, they were like, he tells them what to do, and then he separates it, and he goes, any blowback? And he goes, a lot, but I think we can take it good because I like being alive. So do I. And they separate it. And they separate it, and they get blown back. And then Superman goes, "I take it back. I want to die." And then Cyborg goes, "I feel tingly in my toes. How am I feeling tingly in my toes?" And they're like, "Oh, ha, ha." And then Wonder Woman goes, "Children. I'm dealing with children."
It's so bad. So, but that was the biggest difference between this and that was when they separate the box, the Flash goes faster than light, and that was his greatest. That was another character development of the Flash.
That was a great bit at the end where he basically goes into the Speed Force and reverses time, and
he's psyching himself up to be a hero, and that was, that's when it went completely. Different.
Francis. So that whole bit where he goes into the Speed Force and reverses time, cut out completely.
What?
Like not even in.
No, literally.
What?
They separate the boxes. End of story. They win.
Oh.
But
Steppenwolf didn't get beheaded and destroyed.
Oh my god! What? Like they all had to have their part in that.
Yeah. So no. The bit that got me was because the only shot that was similar to Joss Whedon was the angle of Wonder Woman with the close up, and then the bit where she goes like after she's done the strike blow or whatever it is. But she only did that after Superman uses his freezing breath on his axe, and then she chops off the Steppenwolf's axe or whatever it was. But no, it's the exact same shot they did with that, but she chops his head off. But before that, what got me was, I think Steppenwolf was about to say something, but Aquaman went, "Fuck you," like just went stabbing with his trident from the behind, and then froze him, and that's when Wonder Woman just jumps over and cuts his head off.
Yeah, it was just all a violent bunch of mess.
Yeah, although what got me was like, that's a bit like what got me, like the mother box is synced, and I was like, oh shit, they lost. and that blows up. Obviously the Flash is out there, so he reverses time, and then you see like people's skeleton and muscle going into I was like,
oh god,
oh yeah, they disintegrated. Including Superman, which I was like, well, he technically died twice. Beats Batman still beats him.
So yeah, but no, I liked how there was a lot more at stake in this version than just like, oh, what about that family in Russia? Okay.
Oh, don't. The really added bit of story which never panned out, other than the comedic Flash pushing a truck of the family, and then he looks over and sees Superman lifting a building full of people because he beats the Flash, and you're like, that's terrible.
Yeah.
But my favorite big added / difference to this one was the Lois Lane story. Like, so when you first watch it, you're like, I mean, where are we going with this? It's a bit, yeah, she's just moping, but it sets up brilliantly the Justice League fight with each other, because she keeps turning up to the park where Superman, his memorial.
Yeah.
And she keeps going there every day, and you don't notice it, but it's different because when Superman is alive, she's already there. She's nearby, and she runs up and turns up and saves him. Whereas in the original, I shit you not, Batman had the plan to set. She was meant to be the plan to wake him up.
Catalyst.
Well, not to wake him up, but to kind of calm him down if anything happens. Yeah.
But literally, Alfred brings her to. Yeah, it's really weird how they made it out as a plan, whereas this seemed natural. And also, it also introduced possibly the greatest character reveal ever, which was Martian Manhunter.
Oh yeah, so
there was this lovely scene with with Martha Kent, not Martha Wayne, the right Martha. Oh, that's the shit.
Just don't.
But you had this very sweet moment with her, right? You're like, oh, that's very sweet. And then it comes out and it's not even her. It's Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, actually, good thing you didn't see the final trailer, because there is a shot with Martha Kent with her eyes glowing red, and I'm like, oh, it's Martian Manhunter. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that. I know. I saw an article on the internet about he's going to be in it. I saw this about a week ago. I forgot about it until his eyes glowed and went, oh, shit.
Well, I thought she was a baddie. I was like, what's going on? And it wasn't until you guys went, oh, this. And I was like, oh. Okay. Well, at least that's a relief.
And then, okay. Oh yeah, going back to the whole, because there was another detail about the difference between the Atlanteans from this one to the Aquaman solo film. So they bring out these soldiers, and it does say clearly in the Aquaman solo film that if you're not of royal blood, so for example, like if you're not like as I said, like if you're not of royal blood, you can't breathe out on dry land.
Well, yeah, because that was the big deal about the Aquaman film, was in the fight went on land, because half the time, I mean, some guy had to stick his head in the toilet, for Christ's sake, just to survive.
They bring him out. They bring these soldiers out just so they can get information where one of the mother boxes is. And
by the way, he slams him into a rock, right? Smacks his head. Decent amount of blood, and the guy is still conscious enough to go, fuck you, I'm not talking. The guy would be dead or unconscious.
But, well, you could say, like, they're Atlanteans. So
no, that's bollocks. That's a Patrick logic, and I refuse to acknowledge.
No, your logic is it's sci-fi. It's fantasy and sci-fi. No, that's my argument, Patrick. That's usually my argument, and you tell me off for it, so I'm telling you off now. There is logic within a universe. You can't break it, and you've always gone, well, whatever, it's the universe. And now, oh, Patrick, shut up.
I'm older. I'm older by 30 seconds. Shush.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah,
Respect your elders, bitches.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that was another bit. And so we're going to talk about the epilogue, because that was the new bit that Zack Snyder filmed during COVID.
So that was not.
That was
previously.
that was never intended to be in the.
See, that's what. Yeah.
No,
sorry, we'll talk about it in a minute.
No, that was never intended to be filmed. Like, if he had his way back in 2017, this was just a thing that he just thought of, because when Warner Brothers went, okay, we'll let you finish Justice League, so he just thought of making this scene with the Joker and.
Well, see, now I liked that, because that made that one scene in Batman v Superman important, and actually, it wasn't just a, hey, look, the Flash is from the past, from the future, and then you watch the old Justice League, and you're like, well, that scene makes no sense. Why is there the Flash? Which, by the way, took me forever to realize that was the Flash. I thought it was some random guy because it did not look like him at all.
No, it was him. So what happened? So what happened? It was funny because obviously Ben Affleck and Jared Leto did not share their screen. I mean, they obviously in the film they shared a scene together, but they never actually were together,
working together
because obviously of COVID and everything. And and then Ezra Miller was busy filming Fantastic Beasts 3, so he was in London, and so Zack had to direct him via Zoom. So you had to kind of direct him from a distance.
No, but it was just it made. I mean, I actually really liked it. For starters, I would like to see that Justice League film. It has Deathstroke, which again made him important again, not just a end credit scene turning up and revealing.
They fucked him over, because he was like so severely disappointed with how.
Oh yeah, he was meant to be the next big bad guy.
He was going to be in the Batman, because obviously when you now watching this one, because obviously Lex Luthor reveals, because in the previous one they don't even talk about Batman's identity. They just went, let's make our little league, or whatever it is.
Yeah, the League of Doom, which I thought was a nice nod.
But then, so that was Joss Whedon's thing. So this one, Lex Luthor talks to what's his name? I know it's Slade Wilson.
Oh, it's Deathstroke. It's Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. So they talk to each other, and then because he obviously has a grudge against Batman, because obviously suggesting that he took his eye out or whatever, and then he reveals that it's Bruce Wayne. So I'm like, oh, so that would have explained why he was going to be the main antagonist in Ben Affleck's Batman film. But yeah, obviously that's not going to happen. Although there was talks about apparently people want it to be like a new HBO miniseries or something, but I think Ben Affleck's done as Batman. I think.
Well, I think he'd be all right with cameos, because he's carrying in the Flash film, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
But I don't think he wants to have a big part, because I don't know. It was. I don't know his history, but it seemed too much for him.
What happened was what was originally going to happen? He was going to produce, direct, write, and star in the upcoming Batman. Well, the now, whatever Batman film is going to be, and and he apparently did this for so long, and he was like saying to Comic-Cons, like, yeah, I fucking love Batman, blah blah blah, and he gave it to, I think he gave it to one of his friends. I think it was his lawyer or something along those lines. And he went, what do you think of it? And his friend said, it's really good, but I honestly think it's going to kill you. And I kind of get it, because not only does he have to star in the film with the costume, but he's going to have to direct, he's going to have to produce and write the whole thing. And it's just going to overload him. And obviously at that point, he was drinking too much and he had to go back to rehab. So he was just not in the right mindset for it. So hopefully he's in a better shape, because he's in a relationship with Ana de Armas, the woman in Blade Runner and the upcoming and she was also the main girl in Knives Out. So,
okay.
yeah, so they're together. But that's the other bit. So obviously they had the nightmare sequence. So I didn't mind. I actually quite liked as okay. So people are calling it as the Joker in Suicide Squad as Chalo Joker. Like gangster Joker, whatever it was. And people now saying, this Joker was Marilyn Manson Joker.
Yeah,
because obviously his teeth were like rotting and black, and
yeah,
I think he was missing teeth. I think.
I don't know. I think it was probably bleeding and whatnot,
or something like those lines. But his performance was toned down a little bit, which I
prefer. I literally preferred his one line from the trailer than I did. They seem to really emphasize the Joker.
They got rid of that. Yeah, I was surprised that wasn't in the film, but I guess that was just for the trailer, I suppose.
But his scene was really like, oh look, it's the Joker and Batman, and you're like, there's like other people that I would rather focus on.
Yeah,
like
it's
Deathstroke.
Not the thing is, it's not a terrible scene, but I did watch that bit, and I thought, I did. You know what?
No, I wanted it. I wanted it, but they could have done it differently.
I think I don't know, but then again, like then it goes to obviously Bruce Wayne having another nightmare premonition, I suppose, and then he meets the Martian Manhunter. And what got me was I could tell that obviously this was also filmed during COVID, because Ben Affleck's body mass looks a lot different than they shot it back in 2016 or 2017, whenever they shot it. And because he does look a bit less muscular this time round than he did back then. I don't know.
I didn't notice it.
I didn't think it was. No, I didn't think it was different.
I think just trying to think there's anything else, but there was
I would like to point something out that I've been wanting to point out.
Okay.
Superman's costume makes way more sense in this film, and I'm sure it was there originally, but it made more sense because in Man of Steel, right, I'm just gonna go like Man of Steel, he comes out and it's like it's a blue and red costume, like the classic costume, and I went, where did this come from? Your home planet was black, grey and white. It was like completely monochrome, and I was like, where did this costume come from? And I remember when we rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, and you went, oh, well, it's his family's colours. I was like, what family colours? They were black, grey and white. And like, what's going on? Where did this colour come from? Where did it come from? And then it was like, all right, I'm alive. I need the costume. And I was like, yes, this is the costume. These are the family colours. Thank you very much.
Well, I mean, if you go by the comics, that's his solar suit, as it were, because obviously he's been dead for so long, so he needs to like keep him energized or whatever.
Oh, I knew it was like a specific suit that's been in the comic books, but this, like visually, for the cinematic universe, like that this is encapsulated in, made way more sense. These are the family colours. That was just no more.
Well, the funny thing was that Zack Snyder did push for the black suit and obviously the Superman mullet as he wanted it, and obviously Warner Brothers went no, and Zack Snyder went, okay, well, I'll film with the coloured suit, but this is bullshit. So obviously now technology has jumped from 2017 to 2020, 2021. So he was able to, digitally color correct the suit to, the red, yellow, and blue to black and silver. But then he did try to change Henry Cavill's hair to the mullet, but they didn't work. So I was like, thank God. Yeah, I was not a fan of the whole mullet Superman. I was just like, no, not at all.
Well, that was the 80s, 90s. His haircut is according to the decade it's written.
Well, he was just continuing what happened after the death of Superman storyline. Like he's just like he comes back, but he's got a mullet. It's like, no, just no. I'm just trying to think. There's anything else that we can.
Well, if we're talking about super clothing, we've got to talk about Wonder Woman's super shoes.
Oh yeah, they were lovely. I looked at them. We're talking about the scene where the
jumps down in the ancient temple.
So, yeah,
a good 20 feet, and their heels are perfectly.
I remember when
intact.
that scene first started, I looked at the shoes and went, "Oh, those are pretty. I really like those." But they're
she
so
jumped
high,
down
and then she jumped, and I went, "I really want those shoes now. Can I have those shoes?"
We all reacted to that scene because I was like, "That's bollocks."
I saw that. I just kind of went, nope, just no, not at all. It's just like the continuing, like the super, high-heeled shoes, like in many films, like since Jurassic World.
I think the reason why it stuck out so much is that Wonder Woman's outfit choices make sense. Like that's why I love Wonder Woman. You're like, wow, her nails are short and they look like normal. Her shoes make sense.
She's
she looks like she could. Yeah, they're practical. They were stylish but practical, and that's why I think it may be superficial, but it's just so refreshing to see in a kick-ass woman wearing stuff that's practical, that doesn't take you out to make you think, oh bollocks, can you run in that stuff? That's why I love Wonder Woman. And for the most part, Wonder Woman, great, but that scene did just go, wait, what?
Well, no, the other scene that you were really confused about was her the museum scene. You seem to be really confused.
The museum, by the way, it was the Old Bailey. The
courthouse.
Oh, the Old Bailey. Okay.
Justice. Right. Being blown.
Oh yes,
right.
She was. Oh, obviously she was standing on Lady Justice.
One, but I've been sitting on that one. Just thought it was irrelevant to point it out at the time. But yeah. Anyway,
but it was her super speed really threw you off, didn't it, Francis?
Where was that?
No, because you went it was, where was this in Wonder Woman 80? Oh, what was it? 84.
1984. Yeah.
Oh, we all know my thoughts on 84. It was like I love Wonder Woman, but that was.
No, I enjoyed it, but the fights were terrible. It really obviously choreographed and slow.
It definitely was a step down from the first film. So
no, that's the thing. And then you're watching this, and it's again still good. I mean, very, very fast, but really enjoyable. Something happened in 84, but the fight scenes were very disappointing in 84.
So yeah, I think that's pretty much covering most of it. I think there's anything else that you want to bring up.
We could probably talk about the villains a bit more. I mean, there's actually not just Steppenwolf. We had
the fact that we finally get Darkseid, the DC's Thanos, as you could say. The thing is, we could talk about is I'm interested in what the future of the DCEU is. I mean, obviously we still got the Aquaman 2, we've got Shazam 2, we've got Black Adam, we've got you've got the Batman, but that I don't. Obviously, I don't think
that counts.
That doesn't count. No, so Wonder Woman 3 is definitely been greenlit. So, there's supposed to be a Green Lantern Corps supposed to be made, but I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard anything since it was announced.
Well, hopefully because go, Francis.
That was what I thought was weird in the films, because obviously I haven't seen the original. This is the only version I've seen. I've only seen snippets of the previous one, and that was years ago. What I found weird was the reference to Green Lantern, and you're like, and even Steppenwolf goes, there's no lantern, and that made no sense to me. I was like, where's this coming from? That I forgot. I do know Green Lantern exists, and I knew it before. Blah 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 blah, but. I totally forgot, because he's not part of this universe so far, and all of a sudden, hello, I'm Green Lantern, and I've been fighting the bad guys from the beginning, except I'm missing in this bit.
No, because in the original, that Green Lantern's appearance was, I'm going to fly up, I'm going to use a hammer, which I'm surprised they sort of had a hammer-esque thing back then. That was it. He didn't have a super fight, which lost his hand. That was epic.
Oh, also. When he was first asleep, when he in that old fight scene, when they first defeated Steppenwolf, blah 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 blah. There's the Green Lantern. I was like, oh, Green Lantern. Okay, is that a Green Lantern? Okay, fine. And then wait, Ares is a good guy in this film.
He's a god.
This was before when he turned bad.
It's not before he turned bad. It's just you threaten his place of home. You're going to destroy it. So that means he'll be destroyed. So yeah, he's going to be invested. Because
I know, but it made me smile. All of a sudden, he's a good guy.
But I mean, who was the guy, the servant, the middleman between Steppenwolf and Darkseid?
Oh, Desaad. That's it.
Yeah, because he was. Well, you laugh because you thought
he
was.
reminded me of Flash Gordon. Scientist.
Oh yeah, so when Steppenwolf is like, he has this little object that it forms to become whoever he's going to talk to.
Oh yeah.
And then so obviously when you see Desaad, it doesn't look anything like the character of, I don't know, what is Clytus? Is it Clytus in Flash Gordon?
Yes, I think that
yes,
is.
it's Clytus. So obviously, if you've not seen Clytus, the character in Flash Gordon, he's basically, his face is like it's got like a metallic like bit of face, armor face.
It looks like different plates to form, like different metallic foil plates to form his face. Muscles.
Yeah,
and he's hooded as well.
And he's hooded.
Yeah,
and the first few shots, I was like, don't giggle, and it just. I'm sorry, guys. I did try to hold it in, and I really tried, but it didn't work.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, and if we finally get Darkseid to, and then and obviously I was like, I thought that was cool. They got somebody to play Granny Goodness. I was like, oh, that's cool. But she still hasn't been credited. She's still uncredited. So it's like,
I mean, that was such a cameo. I mean, even I was like, oh, that's a really. I mean, I really enjoyed it because, I mean, the fact, like you said, it wasn't just Steppenwolf being a generic bad guy. He had depth. There was a reason why he was there. He was really wanting to go back. And then you had, a bad guy for him, which was, what's his face? And then you had Darkseid, which, he tried to conquer Earth thousands of years before and failed miserably.
Oh, he got an axe to his fucking collarbone, which was like, oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and so it showed you it wasn't just one bad guy. There was a universal, bad guys. And I think overall this film's better because there was character development.
Well, there was just
with the right characters.
Well, there was much more of a threat involved. I just think, there was so much more at stake, and obviously when it finished, it seemed like Darkseid was going to come back, and obviously Martian Manhunter tells to Bruce Wayne that he's going to come back. So it just feels like now Zack Snyder is not, well, for now he says he's not interested to make any more DC films, like because of how it ends in this Justice League. It's going to be interesting. Like, are they going to make any more to continue it?
They will. Because he set it up as a cliffhanger, so obviously someone else could take over. It's just hopefully they include the nightmare sequence. Because...
I mean, I don't know, like the director that could probably do it is probably George Miller, because he was originally going to do Justice League back in after 2008 when he was making it. So, but I mean, he's going to be busy doing the Mad Max films for that. So, but yeah,
I think you would need a younger, Zack Snyder-esque era director, I think, to direct the next one.
Well, I mean, Zack Snyder's like 55 at the moment.
Well, yeah, no, but George Miller isn't 55 either.
No,
he's what?
70. Yeah.
It's going to be a different looking film, as it were.
But yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it does have its issues, like, but I definitely thought,
they're minor. I think that for the most part they are minor.
Yeah, well, they are a bit minor, but like I said, like, I thought this was also a step up from Batman v Superman. Did I really think it needed to be 4 hours?
I didn't have a problem.
All the scenes were relevant, but I didn't have. Yeah,
it was long, but at the time it didn't feel long. It's when you realise that you've still got 2 hours left to watch.
No, there was
pee break.
Pee break, and then we realised, like, we said to Francis, like, oh, by the way, if we were watching the theatrical version, we'd be near the end of the film.
Yeah, but no, that was a really good part. Was they split it into 6 parts and an epilogue, as in they had a title sequence for each part, so you could like go pause. You couldn't just like it was. I liked that. It's different. We don't see it in a lot of films, but then a lot of films aren't 4 hours long either.
No, and I honestly don't think this would have worked if this was released in cinemas. Like, this was probably the perfect way to release the film.
Well, no, because
service.
I mean, correctly, they said we don't want anything longer than 2 hours. I mean, we've had films close to 3 hours, but 4 hours is literally taking the piss. I don't think anyone has the time. I mean, we had to plan when to watch it.
Yeah, well, the fact was that, you know, even when they had Avengers Endgame, which was 3 hours long, I think I saw they normally accommodate one screen to a film, but they took like more than one just so they can fit as many as they can. And you know, and obviously with the Lord of the Rings, they were like between 3 hours to 3.5 hours, so you could again just get about away with it. But 4 hours is usually like, yeah, we can't do that. And
that would have been split into 2 films, which I remember that it was meant to be.
Well, that's the thing. It was intended to be split in 2 parts, and you know, there was a scene where they would have had Darkseid, you know, coming into the Batcave where Batman was protecting Lois and kills her.
Yeah, and that's what triggers Superman into becoming evil. And then there's
that was like sort of like what was shown like briefly, you know, with which is funny because this is a minor nitpick. There was 2 shots that I recognized that was used from Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. So the Man of Steel one was when Superman is like, you know, kneeling against the corpse of, you presume, is Lois Lane, and that's the bit where after Superman screams after killing Zod. So it's the side shot.
Oh, right.
But that's normal. That's sort of reusing.
No, I know. This is nothing new, but it just, for me, I just reckon, I'm like, oh, that's that shot from Man of Steel, and then there's the shot where in the nightmare scene near the end, when Superman lifts his head and sees his eyes glowing red with the heat vision, like that was the bit in Batman v Superman, early on in the film. Sequence. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, like we still got the Flash movie with Supergirl, which is, I think it's going to be cool, and that's going to be directed by Andy Muschietti, who did the It movies. And
it's going to be good.
And obviously Michael Keaton's going to be there, and then there's also going to be potentially talks of Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming back as Thomas Wayne to do the alternate like Batman.
Oh, the Flashpoint.
The Flashpoint, yeah. So
so they are doing virtually Flash.
Well,
Flashpoint.
I mean, it's rumored, so it's not official yet. They've only got Ben Affleck
they got Michael Keaton. They've got 2 Batmans, so I think they will be doing. I don't know. I would like to see Point Batman because
I mean, that depends, like, because obviously he's busy with The Walking Dead. So
who gives a shit? That show's crap. Controversial, but I know.
No, I kind of gave up on it. But anyways, yeah, and then you also, like, again with Black Adam, they're also going to introduce Hawkman, which is, I think that's going to be pretty cool.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
What else are they going to be doing? But yeah, I mean, besides the lineup that I've already said, you know, whether we're going to be getting a new Superman movie with Henry Cavill, from the sounds of things, like they seem to be making a Superman movie, but with Michael B. Jordan. Because they're going to do another version of Superman. I can't remember his name, but it is basically a black Superman.
Steel?
No, it's not Steel. It's actually.
Oh no, yeah, it's a different Earth Superman. No, I think they. Comics.
They did too many, there's too many multiverses from DC. Yeah. It's probably one of the reasons why I'm like, I have to research it. And like, should I invest my time with this story? Fine, I'll do it. But yeah, I mean, you know, it'd be interesting to know, like, from the reaction of this film, and if that will change anything for future DCU movies. Probably not. But you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they actually just, you know, if they do that. So but yeah, no, I did enjoy this film, and I'm just, you know, glad that, you know, Zack Snyder, you know, finally got to have his vision fully realized in this.
Well, I don't know, just I think there's not much else to summarize, really.
No, I think that's pretty much it. So, yeah, that's our thoughts of Zack Snyder's Justice League. So, thanks for tuning into the review. We'll probably have another one. We'll probably continue doing monthly, reviews with our siblings here. So, I don't know what will be next. I don't know what's going to come out in April. I mean, the only films I can think of is probably Godzilla versus Kong, but I don't know. But yeah, like until cinemas start opening, and like we'll probably just watch a new film on a streaming service, whether it be Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Sky Cinema, or whatever it is. So, but yeah, thanks for tuning in to this episode of What Topic Podcast. This is just your host, Owen Burkett, and you can find me on Instagram at owen.burkett. I would normally say you can find me on Twitter, but I've deleted Twitter just because I just can't deal with it anymore. And but yeah, again, like this is this was my brother Patrick and my sister Frances. Thanks for joining in. Hopefully there'll be more soon. And until then, see you then. Stay safe, wear a mask, and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.